Have you ever looked at the podcast charts and just wondered, how? How do some shows shoot to the top while others get totally lost in the noise? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to demystify the algorithms for Spotify and Apple Podcasts and show you exactly how to make them work for you. And that right there, that's the key. So many creators feel like growth is just luck, like it's totally random. But it's not. The moment you understand what these platforms are actually looking for, you can stop guessing and start building a real, predictable path to growth. You can actually take control. So, here's the game plan. We'll start by cracking the algorithm's code. Then we'll get into the top ranking factors they all share. After that, we'll look at the key differences between Spotify and Apple. We'll walk through a pro-level growth strategy, and finally, cover the mistakes to avoid and what kind of timeline you should expect.
Okay, let's dive right in. Before we talk about any specific ranking factor, you have to understand the one single goal that drives every single thing these platforms do.
That's it. It's really that simple. Spotify and Apple are in a constant battle for our time and attention. Their number one mission in life is to keep you in their app for as long as humanly possible. Every single recommendation, every playlist, every notification is designed to do just that.
So how do they do it? Well, they reward the podcasts that help them win that battle. Think about it. If your show gets people to click, keeps them hooked, and gets them to interact, you're basically doing the platform's job for them. And when you help the platform, the algorithm rewards you by showing your podcast to a whole lot more people.
So let's break that down even further. How does this big goal actually translate into data? We're going to look at the 5 core signals the algorithm is measuring to decide if your show is worth promoting.
First up, and you could argue this is the most important one, is your click-through rate, or CTR. It's a really simple question. When someone sees your show, do they click? Because if the answer is no, nothing else matters. A low CTR is a huge red flag to the algorithm that your show just isn't grabbing people's attention. And this is all about your first impression. Your main podcast title, your cover art, and your individual episode titles. Those are the 3 things that make or break your CTR. You have to ask yourself, is my artwork eye-catching? Is my title super clear? And does my episode name make someone so curious they have to click play?
Okay, so you got the click. Awesome. The next big test is listener retention. This is basically the algorithm's quality meter. Are you actually delivering on the promise you made with your title and artwork? High retention sends a powerful signal that yes, this content is good.
And I really can't stress this enough. Those first few minutes are everything. The algorithm watches for early drop-offs like a hawk. If a bunch of people click play and then bail within the first 2 or 3 minutes, your ranking is going to take a nosedive. A killer intro isn't just a nice-to-have, it's an absolute must for the algorithm.
Next up is the speed of your growth. See, the algorithm doesn't just care about your total number of followers. It cares about how fast you're getting them. They're looking for momentum. A sudden jump in new subscribers is like a flare gun, signaling to the algorithm that something exciting is happening here, and it should pay attention.
Beyond just listening, the algorithm is also looking for active engagement. These are things a listener consciously does that proves they're not just a passive consumer, but a real fan who's invested in what you're doing.
And the big ones here are saving an episode for later, sharing it with someone, or taking the time to leave a review. Each one of those actions is like a powerful vote of confidence that tells the platform, hey, this isn't just any podcast, this one is valuable.
And finally, there's consistency. Releasing episodes on a regular, predictable schedule does one simple thing. It tells the algorithm that your show is alive and reliable. An inactive podcast is a dead podcast in the eyes of the algorithm. It's just not going to recommend something that seems abandoned.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. While both Spotify and Apple care about all 5 of those factors, they don't weigh them the same way. Understanding these little differences is how you can really start to tailor your strategy and get an edge.
So think of it like this. Spotify is obsessed with in-app behavior. It's watching things like how long people listen, if they skip through ads or certain segments, and how long they stay in the app after listening to your show. Apple, on the other hand, puts more weight on explicit user actions, things like hitting subscribe, leaving ratings and reviews, and especially how an episode does in its first 24 hours. Okay, so we know the rules of the game. Now, how do we actually play to win? Let's walk through an expert 5-step plan from podcast pro Mahabul Hassan for sending all the right signals to the algorithms. All right, here we go. 1. Do your keyword research so your episode titles show up in search. 2.
Plan a big promotional push in the first day or two after an episode drops to create that crucial momentum. 3. Go find your people. Share your show in niche online groups where your ideal listeners are already hanging out. 4. Use short video clips to create curiosity and drive people to the full episode. And 5. Straight up ask your audience to leave reviews and share the show.
All right, let's bring it home with 2 super important things: the single biggest mistake you can make and a realistic idea of what to expect when you're trying to grow the right way.
And let me just be crystal clear about this. Do not, I repeat, do not use bots or pay for fake plays. It might seem like a shortcut, but I promise you, it is the fastest way to absolutely kill your podcast future.
Here's why it's so bad. First, bots have zero listener retention. They click and immediately bounce, which just tanks that critical metric. Second, it completely confuses the algorithm about who your real listeners are, so it has no idea who to recommend your show to, and that just suffocates any chance you have of ever building a real, long-term audience.
And look, real growth takes time. You gotta be patient. Think of your first week as a testing phase. Then, for the next couple of weeks, the algorithm is just learning and gathering data. It's really only after a month or more of consistent effort that you'll start to see that real, meaningful climb in the rankings. So, here's the big takeaway. Podcast growth isn't some dark art. It's not a mystery. Once you stop guessing and start focusing on sending the right signals, that high CTR, that strong retention, that real engagement, the results become predictable. The system works, but you have to work the system.
We've laid out the entire playbook for you. We've covered the what, the why, and the how. The only thing left is for you to put it into action. So think about your show right now. Knowing what you know, which one of these ranking factors are you going to tackle first?